Hello and thank you for joining me for another video breakdown. Today I'm going to be looking at the DreamWorks short, Bilby. Bilby was a DreamWorks short that originally came out way back in 2018. Bilby seemed to be developed out of the remnants of a feature film that got halted called Larrikin. It looks like that's why they've been able to use so many creatures or so many characters which were built in, because they already had the characters made and they were able to utilize them in another story. Which is one of the things I think is really exciting about this, is the amount of polish and the amount of tech they've been able to put into this film to make it look so beautiful. Bilby is one of the films that has been put together by the We Are One Film Festival, which is now an online film festival which has come about because of the pandemic of everyone being locked in at home. And so they've come together and put together a 21-day film festival, which is all online. Links in the description below for you to go check out the rest of the films. So Bilby, while it's an 8-minute film, we are going to be checking out 30 seconds of the film. What I've picked out of this film that I really want to talk about is Directing Chaos. We are going to be focusing on a whole 30 seconds out of this film, and in that 30 seconds there are 31 different shots. So the longest shot is a bit over 2 seconds. The shortest shot is a whole 5 frames. So we're going to be looking at what they've done to make this chaotic section of the film actually be readable and enjoyable to watch. It's really quite a lot of fun. So let's get into it. So this section we're going to be looking at is 30 seconds long. It's only a short piece out of the film itself, but it does contain 31 different shots, which on average means that each shot is less than a second each. This first shot, being the longest shot, lasts for 2 seconds, and each shot gets progressively shorter and shorter and shorter throughout the sequence. And then the shortest shot right at the end lasts for a whole of 5 frames. So let's check it out and see what techniques they've used to be able to have such rapid cutting happen and yet you still be able to follow the action. So the first shot we look at, it's just the Bilby and the chick very clearly in frame. If we look at their silhouette, they're jumping back and forwards over the top of a very uncluttered background, which is really nice and clear. We can see that the silhouette of the characters is really bright and colourful, or darker than the background. If we look at the background, there's nothing which is blocking their silhouette. Their silhouette's very clear and all the action is happening down on the ground, down the bottom. We have movement, which I love. They've been able to keep movement in everything throughout this sequence. The camera itself's not moving, but we've got all these additional characters heading off in one direction. They're all consistently moving. And then we've got our main character just jumping back and forwards. And we get to the last frame of the shot. This is the key part between this sequence, is the way that they've actually kept things going, moving everywhere, but between each cut, if we look at the character between the cut, as he ends up, as he ends up on the last frame of the shot, they are beautifully, as you can see, the beautiful silhouette, which are fabulous. The characters are standing out. We've got a beautiful silhouette, and while everything around them is the same, we go to our next frame. We can see that the silhouette of the character, the action and the direction that they're taken hasn't changed, and your eyes are still being able to see what's going on. But all of a sudden, just through the cut point that they've used, the background and the extra action which they've got, if we look at this now, we've still got the same negative space back here where we're gone for the tree, and we still got the shape of what used to be the mountain back there now being in this tree, and the horizon line still in a similar shape. But now you can see that, yes, there's now a new threat, which the Bilby and the chick are now having to face. And that's the key point between this whole sequence, is what's happening and where things end up between the shots. Again, this shot's quite a long one. The action's really straightforward, it's really clear. We've got a nice, beautiful, clear silhouette of what's gone on with our Bilby and our chick. So this one's a bit different. Instead of the action which we had before with the echidnas who are all traveling in one direction, we've now introduced multiple lines of action going in different directions with the crocodiles jumping, as well as we've had everything go up, as well as our camera follow in direction as they go up and down. So we've got lots of chaos happening. But as we get towards the end of this this shot, we can see where our characters ended up with what action they've got. So our chick is in the foreground, dead center, been traveling this direction, coming from bouncing away from these crocodiles. We've also got the help of this crocodile's eyes looking at the chick, so everything's going in that direction. We've got our key Bilby nicely in the background, but we've definitely got a distinctive threat wrapping around our shot here. We can see it there, that's come in and it's really quick, but between the shot, if we look at the overlay from what we had before, our Bilby is now moved the most, but our chick is still traveling in the same direction we had and really close to the position that they were. So it's easy to follow the action between the cut. While the shape is now changed quite a lot to being an emu, if we look at that, if we look at this shape, it's very much similar to the teeth that were coming down from the jaws before that were in a close position. But we can see between the cut that our main characters are still very much in a similar position to what they were, making it easy to follow between the cut. And we go between action again, where we've introduced more action. This time, instead of going acrossways, we can see that all the action is actually heading backwards. So we've got different directions of action, which throws the chaos in this one. The camera is moving backwards away from our characters as our characters are moving forward, but the additional action which we've had of now everything going one way, crocodiles going across ways, now emus running in depth, it helps create the chaos. And it also, the looks on our characters that they do as well during this sequence, you know, we can see them here in this frame, they're both looking up, well, one of them's scared, you know, out of his wits going, oh, you know, this is really hard. And the other one's going, wow, look at this. It's a good contrast having the two of them run through it. We get up to the next end of the frame cut point. Again, we've gone back to a very clear silhouette for our blue Bilby, which he is, blue Bilby, running against all these white emus and blue and desert plain. He's had an action where he's bringing him forward, jumping closer to us, while our little chick is definitely down in the bottom corner here, looking up very innocently. Again, really nice silhouettes for these characters. And as we jump to the next frame, we can see that both of them, again, between the cuts, have landed in very much exactly the same position. So your eye's not jumping around to follow them. But of course, underwater, physics changes. So they're no longer sitting in what we thought they were before. They're now sitting in water. And what's really good about water is it changes our action again. You've got the bubbles going up, everything starts to float. And it's really interesting that they've just kind of come into that point from their previous shot where they're just floating now. And since we've gone from, what's really nice, we've gone from everything running backwards, so we've got that idea that all the characters have gone back in depth. All of a sudden, where the new threat comes from is out of behind them, all the way from the back of the screen to the back of the shot to the front of the shot. These guys are definitely going to be dead. Ended up with our characters, again, very clearly having nice silhouettes. Again, characters now, instead of being on the white background, which they were in the previous shot, they're now on the depths of the back of the shark's throat, which is black. So contrast again, black, easy to see the silhouette, this time especially with the white chick. It makes it easy to follow what's going on. And we go from a shot like that, where they're about to get completely squashed. So as we cut from the shark's mouth to the desert, we've gone and left the characters very much in the same positions they were. And instead of floating up, where both of them were floating up, we've got them both running forward. So whereas with the previous shot, both characters and camera were stationary and the background was really moving, or the background character is really moving towards you, in this shot we've come straight to action again, but this time the camera is moving backwards, and the characters are moving towards the camera. Again, this is very Indiana Jones when we look at it. Nice throwback to how Indiana Jones was always running, was in there. But we've got the characters running, cameras running, movement. Again, this whole thing is all about movement. We get to the last frame. Again, let's have a look at where our characters are. Our main character has been traveling forward. Our main chick has been carrying forward. Ended up here. And the poor little Bilby is getting squashed underneath this mammoth rock. But the frame itself is not cluttered. When we look at it, when you look at this framing, all we've got in there is a rock and a bit of background. So the framing itself is really clean and really easy to spot what's going on. And then when we cut to our next shot, we've gone back to the characters being in very much a similar position to what they were. This time the background's a lot more cluttered. But we've followed them coming from the backwards, going forwards, camera moving with them, going backwards from them, which leads us into our next shot, which then just continues the action. But now we've got a new character coming in from the side, which is beautiful, and they're still running in the same direction. Camera moving backwards, characters coming forwards, and we've changed the direction. I love it, this shot. It's just keeping on going. This is so exciting. This is what I love. We're now about halfway through. But the characters have changed direction and they're running away from the camera, and the camera is going to follow them, which is nice. We've actually changed the camera direction, the way the characters are running. We've changed the direction or the language this time. So we've ended up with the characters on this center down the bottom. We've got your horizon line in about the same position again all the way through. So far the horizon line has been in there, or the horizon line has vanished, and we go from here to a shot which is characters are in the same position, running in the same direction, but there's now all of a sudden something, again changing the action from the background coming towards us. Let's just bin that one. We've got the horizon line in the same spot, but we've put these hills in to give us a backdrop. And coming towards us is now, camera is still moving in the same speed and the same direction, but all of a sudden there's now action coming towards us. Oh, our characters have to change direction, which is really nice. It just throws up chaos. It just adds chaos in. But we've been able to follow our characters who have started running one way, and they turn around and come running back towards us. Shot. Oh, he's found. Again, we start getting shorter now. So we get from the shorter shots. We've introduced our characters again and put them in their strong, clear silhouette. This one's been fabulous because we've gone, how much movement have any of the characters in the background had? Well, 0. How much movement has the camera had? 0. So this one's a really jarring shot because everything else has been so chaotic. We get to have a shot like this, it's jarring. And again, we cut to, the Bilby's in a very similar position. Clear to see that the cut point's gone through. We have moved our chick to go from where he was up here to over here. But we've put our Bilby definitely in distinct danger in a very similar position, which I love because it's easy to follow for everyone traveling along at home. And this is what we do with the rest of these short shots. It's really nice. We've got our Bilby in a clear position, in danger, and he just cuts straight to silhouette for the next one. He's in danger again, but he's in the same position within frame. And he's just doing this all the way through. The thing which does change the most is usually the way action is happening. These last ones, there's not much action. Camera doesn't have much action. Characters are not having much action in these little shots. But towards the end of this sequence now, we start pulling the camera around, stopped, moving it up, moving it in. Camera's going up, camera's going down, camera's moving in, getting closer until we're right on top of him again. After so many short shots, his eyes have been in the same position. We've terrified him. And then finally, there's 3 really, really quick shots, which are just breathing out. And this is really good. It's not a pull out all the way, but they've used, it is a distinct cut between being closer to being the mid shot, but they've used the camera, they've just animated the camera just a little bit to give it the feeling that it's moved out. Boom, boom. And it's the same with the next one. Straight cut and then boom, boom. Just a little bit of camera movement to give you the feel that they've just pulled it straight out. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed a look at this 30-second of absolute chaos mastery, camera movement and directing. Leave your comments down below if you've enjoyed it. Otherwise, until the next time, I say bye-bye.